In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the rear sway bar link on this Nissan Pathfinder. Let's get started. Use a 21mm socket, remove all 5 of your lug nuts, and then remove the wheel. Now with the wheel off, you can see the sway bar link is right here, and the mounting nuts are both 18mm in size. And what I'm going to do first is actually try to put a socket on this with a power tool, try to blast it off of here. On the back side, you can use a 19mm wrench to hold it. So if we have to, we'll do that. You can also use an Allen head on the stud side to hold it. So you have options here. On this top one, you have somewhat clear access, especially if you have a swivel socket to put a power tool on. So that's what I'm going to use. Move that brake hose out of the way, get your 18mm on, and try to blast it off of there. All right, so that worked. Now a lot of times what happens is the stud will spin. It will not let you do this. And in that case, like I said, you can hold it from the back side. I'm going to try and do this to the bottom. However, the bottom I think is going to go a little bit differently just because it's a little more rusty, and I cannot really fit a power tool in here, as you can see, unless I remove the shock, which I am trying to avoid unless absolutely necessary. So I'm going to get my 18mm socket with a ratchet on this one. Try to break it free. Oh, okay. Well, that broke free. Oh, it's spinning the whole stud. All right, so I'm going to grab the back side of it with a wrench and just try to hold it right here. You can use a 19mm wrench, like I was saying. All right, this is allowing us to unthread that mounting nut pretty easily. Okay, and there is your sway bar link. All right, now let's take the new sway bar link. You want to make sure you put it on the right way because that top stud is a little bit longer than the bottom because it has to go through this control arm. Slide it through. I like to put a little bit of grease on these threads so that they don't seize in here. There we go. This also helps the nut slide on a little bit easier. Speaking of, let's put the mounting nuts on. Let's try and tighten this up with the 18mm socket. Now hopefully I can bring it in most of the way, if not all the way, before the stud starts spinning. If I can't, well, we'll address the problem when it arises, but looks like for now it's working. So I'm going to keep tightening this. So here's what I'm going to do now. I need to fit a 6mm Allen on this end, and because I won't have space for my ratchet and I don't have just the bit to drive it, I used a wrench to hold this. So if your Allen socket is 6mm all the way through, just use a 6mm wrench. In my case, a 1/4 inch wrench is what fits. But what I can do now is take a wrench, tighten this up with a wrench, and hold the stud. It's bottomed out. I'm going to try to make it nice and snug so we can hopefully torque it after. And the reason I say that is because sometimes you can't, because the stud will spin, and a torque wrench you can pretty much only use with a socket unless you have a crow's foot wrench, which I don't have for this. So I need to get this tight enough to be able to put a socket on it without the rest of it spinning. And I think I've pretty much achieved that. So I'm going to take my socket out of here and let's tighten up this top one, which I will attempt with the air gun, and hopefully it works. All right, that's getting tight right there. So I'm going to take this out, and I'm just going to put my wrench on it, make sure it's nice and snug, which it is. There we go. All right, so now we can torque these. The torque for these is 66 foot-pounds for the top one and 76 for the bottom. I'll start with the top one. Doesn't really matter where you start as long as you do both of them. That's torqued to 66 foot-pounds. Make sure that as you do this, the stud isn't spinning. You can see that if you just look on the back side. And now the bottom, again, 76 for that one. That's it right there. Let's get the wheel on. Start on all 5 of your lug nuts, bottom them out, and then we'll torque them to spec in a cross pattern. "83 foot-pounds is the torque for these. Go in a cross pattern. And I always like to double check them. To double check them, you can go in a circle.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.